Know who has restarted his campaign rallies this weekend, just blocks away from the site of one of the worst racist massacres in history in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The city is also seeing a rise in COVID-19 cases, but he and Pence don't seem too worried about it. Watch.
We have a 22,000-seat arena, but I think we're going to also take the convention hall next door, and that's going to hold 40,000. So we'll have 22,000 plus 40,000, which would mean that we'd have over 900,000 people that won't be able to go. And I can tell you on COVID or coronavirus or whatever you want to call it, plenty of names, tremendous progress is being made.
Oklahoma has really been in the forefront of our efforts to slow the spread, and in a very real sense, they flattened the curve.
So you take issue with the message they're putting out, Sonny?
I really do. You know, I've said before that this spreading of misinformation leads to the loss of life. And the vice president is supposed to be the head of the coronavirus task force. Not only is he giving misinformation and saying that Oklahoma has somehow flattened the curve, he also apparently encouraged governors to share with their citizens that, that the spikes that we're seeing is because we're seeing an increase in testing. And that is just not true. Since so many states were encouraged by this administration to open their economies and open up states, we've seen a significant spike in coronavirus cases, including, death. And when you look at the numbers in Oklahoma reported 225 new cases of COVID-19 this past Saturday, which is its highest one-day total since the pandemic began. So how dare the vice president tell the people of the United States, and especially the people of Oklahoma, that there's been a curve? So you're inviting 60,000 people to a rally where where masks are optional, where they very well may be infected with a life-ending virus. I just think he's a menace to citizens.
Yeah.
It's despicable.
Right. And he's requiring attendees to sign a waiver so they can't sue him if they get the coronavirus. Now, I know this is a really dumb question, Joy, and it's like no reason to really ask you this, but I'm going to do it anyway. Would you sign this waiver, Joy?
Not only would I not sign the waiver, I wouldn't go in the first place because I have what you call common sense, okay? Common sense. It's interesting, isn't it, that they have to sign this waiver so that he's not sued if anybody gets sick. Suddenly he believes in science. He didn't believe in science. Well, now that it comes to his pocketbook, he believes in science all of a sudden. Here's a note to Trump supporters. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about your health or your children's health. He only cares that you come and supply kudos to his massive ego. He won't even give you health insurance if you get sick. Why are you going? Why?
Well, Megan, you think there's plenty of hypocrisy to go around, right? Because we got the demonstrators and you have...
I would just counter what Joyce said really quickly. Do you think Chris Cuomo cared about people's health when he moved old people around to nursing homes that were COVID positive and a lot of people died, including my friend Janice Dean's mother-in-law and father-in-law? There's a lot of hypocrisy to go around here, and this is one of the issues that I'm really enraged about. I don't think anyone should be in giant rallies right now because we've been told by medical experts it's not safe. But the message from the media is, as long as you are protesting something or going to a rally that is of the right politics, you can do it. And we're going to ignore the spread of COVID. So going to a Trump rally is somehow much more dangerous than going to a rally in Brooklyn over the weekend. I'm removing politics from this because I haven't protested anything and I'm not planning on, or protested in person, and I'm not planning on going to the Trump rally, obviously. But we have to be consistent on this. And what we're seeing is a lot of anger festering up. When you're seeing people who are now taking it into their own hands and going and opening up playgrounds in Brooklyn because de Blasio won't let them, but at the same time, hundreds of thousands of people can go protest in Brooklyn. The messaging is very confusing for people, and we can laugh all we want on here, but this is the most angry rally, I've seen a lot of people I know in the center and on the right because the messaging is very confusing. Is COVID a pandemic that we all have to stay sheltering in place and inside, or is it not? Or is it only a pandemic if you are a conservative and you're a Trump supporter and then you have to stay inside, and you're a hypocrite if you sign this waiver and you go into his rally, but you're not a hypocrite if you go protest someplace else? It's very confusing.
Well,
I think I can help to clear some. I think I can help to clear some of this up because it has nothing to do with whether you should. No one should be doing any of it. This is the point. No one should be protesting outside. No one should be doing any of it. And everyone has the right to make a decision. But it just feels to me, as we have said to protesters outside who we're saying, hey, this probably isn't the greatest idea because you're going to spread it. So what's happening is it is spreading. And it isn't Trump folks. It's folks who are out doing things that we probably should not be doing. This is less, each thing that we talk about is the politics of the thing we're talking about. So if we're talking about folks who are protesting, we're talking about, I'm sorry, go ahead, Joy.
I can't hear anything.
Go ahead, Joy.
Well, I was just going to say, the whataboutism is irrelevant to me right now. I mean, nobody in the Cuomo administration has asked anybody to sign a waiver so that they can't be sued. It's a whole different ballgame we're talking about here.
All politicians have public health at their forefront, and to say something incendiary, and I am no Trump fan, everybody knows that, but you make me defend him when you say things like he wants people to die, he doesn't care about public health, when at the same time there's a huge controversy in New York City with nursing homes right now that has affected one of my best friends in the world very personally. So let's just be careful with our rhetoric right now, because this is already a heightened time and it's already dangerous. And I have been in quarantine just like everybody else, or sheltering in place for the past 3.5 months. I still can't buy a crib for my child in person. And there are people that are out protesting everywhere and going to Trump rallies. And all I'm saying is it's confusing, it's frustrating. I want to be responsible. I want people to be safe. I do not want people to get sick, of course, but I don't understand some of the mixed messaging that's happening, and there are a lot of Americans right now who are on the same page as I am.
Listen,
can
we fired the pandemic team.
I don't know what that means.
Go ahead, Sonny. That means that the whole thing started with the federal government. Otherwise, if he hadn't been so incompetent, we would all probably be out of this by now.
This is an American problem. This is a problem that is bipartisan. It is not just a Trump administration problem, Joy. This is a problem that is globally.
I disagree.
And it is really happening in this country. But I'm sorry, but it's ridiculous.
We're going to go and come right back because we have to go right now, and we'll come back and continue to talk. We'll be right back. And now, Joy, we want to get back to what you were saying.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to just make another distinction to what Megan said, and that is that the rally for Trump is indoors. The protesters are out in the streets, and most of them are wearing masks, I notice, even though a lot of them are not, and they should be. But the indoor situation is 10 times worse and much more dangerous. That's all. It's completely different.
I mean, I don't think the average American is going to see that much of a difference, but I think it would help your cause once in a while. No, I think we've been seeing hundreds of thousands of people out on the streets for the past 2 weeks. And again, you can have a existential political conversation about what is worthy of going outdoors or not, but the average Trump supporter is not going to see the difference between any rally anywhere in the country and the rally they're doing there. I wouldn't go to either because I think it's unsafe because of the COVID virus, and that's my take.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of hypocrisy going around.
All right.
Can I weigh in just a second?
Fair, but it's different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
It just seems to me that when you yourself make the decision to go outside and protest and exercise your constitutional right to protest and injustice, like we've seen the murder of unarmed black men, that is one thing. But when you have the administration the vice president in particular, who is responsible for the coronavirus task force, inviting people to an indoor event, and the data shows that the indoor events are people are more susceptible to catching the virus. I think that is a significant distinction, because one is someone choosing to go outside. One is the administration inviting 60,000 people or more to an indoor arena, knowing the risk, and then lying about the risk and minimizing that risk. So there isn't, to me, a mixed message here.
Can I just answer really quick? And I hear what you're saying, Sunny. But for me, and I think to my knowledge, and again, unless I've been updated on the well-being of all of my co-hosts, we have all been sheltering in place and been very responsible, and the virus is spreading. Now, I'm not an epidemiologist. I don't know if it's because there's been so many people outside. I don't know if it's because we opened up early, but it is spreading. And in my home state of Arizona, they're seeing a surge right now. And for people that are sheltering in place and their kids can't go to school, and there doesn't seem like there's any end to this, the responsible law-abiding citizens who are abiding by the law, it doesn't matter if I am not going or I'm going because it's spreading. And so there's a lot of frustration because even if you're sheltering in place and you're doing the right thing, the virus is still having peaks everywhere, and it is very, very frustrating. And I'm worried that this is the new normal, like a lot of Americans, that I'm never going to be back in studio with you guys again, that I'm not going to ever be able to go into a baby store, which I know I keep bringing it up, but when you waited as long as I did to have a child, and now I don't even know if I'm ever going to buy a crib in person, it's something that's been hard. And that's just a tiny thing, and I'm not saying it's anywhere near the sacrifices so many millions of Americans are making that are much more intense, much more graver. People have lost their lives, people have lost their jobs, but this is very hard, and there seems to be no end in place. So that's where my frustration is coming from.
There is an end in place. There is an end in place. Let's do this, and then we'll go to break. There is an end in place, but this is going to take the time it takes, and everybody has to decide we're all going to do it together. We can't do this piecemeal. We can't do the marches, and we can't invite people to come to rallies. We all have to make a decision. If we want to get some semblance of semi-normal back, we are all, left, right, and center, going to have to dig in and do this together. It's the only way it's going to work.